Welcome back to the Bourbon Note, everybody. I'm Ben. I got a bourbon battle on the bar tonight. Let's get into it. So on the bar tonight, as you can see, I've got 4 bottles here. And the purpose of tonight's blind is really all about this one right here. The Old Fitzgerald bottled in bond 7-year. This one just came out. It's kind of come out to a lot of hype. It's been a little tough to get. It's supposed to be a regular shelfer, but you know how these things go. A new bourbon hits the market, everybody freaks out. A lot of people are saying a lot of good things about this. Some people are saying it's kind of mid. I just did a review on it and I found it to be very, very basic. I was supremely underwhelmed by this bottle. And so I thought it'd be fun to put this in a blind flight with some other budget-friendly options that are the same proof point. So we've got the Old Forester 100, which I should say, full disclosure, is one of my favorite bottles. Even just the basic Old Forester 100, this $28, $25 bottle, I absolutely love it. It's my flavor profile. It's one of my favorites. Then, of course, we have the Old Fitz bottled in bond. We have the Benchmark bonded. And then we have, I don't have an actual bottle, I just have a mini bottle. So I've got the picture stand-in here of the Rebel, it's just the regular Rebel 100 wheated bourbon. So we've got 2 wheaters, 2 non-wheaters here, but all of them 100 proof. And so, yeah, I thought it'd be fun to just kind of blind these against each other and see where the Old Fitz ends up. Because in that review, I did say, like, it wasn't really drinking all that great. And I've had it a couple of times since, and it really just, I don't know, it's not doing anything for me. But sometimes when you put it in a blind, it might stand out a little bit. Sometimes putting in a blind actually just crushes a bourbon, makes you realize it's not as good as you thought it was. But sometimes putting it in a blind, it tends to, also it can bring out some flavors that maybe you didn't notice the first time when you're comparing it to other stuff. So we'll see what happens. Again, the other ones in this flight are budget friendly. I know the Benchmark's not available everywhere, but it's available enough now, I think, that you can start to include it and stuff like this. I will in the future do like a bottled in bond flight, a blind flight with the Old Fitz and some more high tier bourbons. But I guess, I don't know, we'll see how this one goes. If the Old Fitz loses this one, do I need to keep doing this? But anyway, I just thought this would be a fun idea. So let's get into it. Typically the way I do these is I'll fast forward through the initial nosing, come back, give you my thoughts, and yeah, we'll start there. Please hold. Okay, so after the initial nosing through, by the way, I didn't mention, but the way this always works with my videos, I have the bottles up here purely for decoration. The glass behind the bottle has nothing to do with the bottle in front of it. These are mixed up. I don't know which one is which. So, this glass isn't, it could be the Old Forester. I don't know, but, so these are mixed up. So don't think that I'm drinking out of this one because it's this one and, so on and so forth. So anyway, after the first nosing through, I think, and we're gonna go glass number 1 on my right. So number 1, 2, 3, 4. Number 2 seems to be the most, it's coming across a bit youthy, seems to be the most basic and budgety. Number 4, I think, is in the lead. I think I like that one the best so far on just the nose. And then number 3 was good. And then, so I think between sample 1 and 3 are kind of battling out for second place. But so far I'm putting, just based on the nose, glass number 2 in last and glass number 4 in first. But that may change on the palate. So I'm going to fast forward through that, check back with you in a second. So after going through that first round of tasting, I think what I was getting off of the nose kind of tracks on the palate as well, but I will say the one that I said was the weakest, glass number 2 here, it still is my weakest on the palate, but it's better on the palate than it was on the nose. I don't think any of these are bad whiskeys. Like I said, I'm a big fan of Old Forester 100. This one I just thought was basic. I didn't think it was bad. It was just kind of like, meh. The Benchmark bonded is, I've always just kind of had like it's okay. And then the Rebel, actually, for an $18 bottle of whiskey, that's, it's not bad for what it is. And I think that the interesting part about doing these blinds is when there is one in the group that clearly stands out as far as like price point, or maybe it's a particularly overhyped bottle or something like that. it's fun to do a blind when it's like, okay, I'm not picking out one of these as being way better than any of the other ones. I do think number 4 is the best so far. I don't think that's gonna change. That's just a little bit more my flavor profile. So I think that that's the better one so far. I've got sample number 3 in second place, sample number 1 in third place, and then sample number 2 in last place. Again, just like on the nose, I think it's gonna come down to 1 and 3 battling it out for position here. I don't know, I don't see my winner and my loser really changing going through the second round of tasting here, but we'll see what happens. So yeah, I'm getting kind of a nice sweet tart sort of note off of this sample number 1. And this one's just got a little bit of darker notes to it that I'm kind of digging as well. So I think it's really just going to come down to these two battling it out to decide what the final kind of ranking is. So I'm going to go through these one more time. I did water in between. I'll probably do some more water. I'll raw dog them. I'll drink them in different directions and sample A/B testing and stuff like that. So I'll fast forward, check back with you in a second. All right, we're back with results. My list didn't change. My rankings didn't change. I'm going last place, glass number 2. Third place, glass number 1. Second place, glass number 3. And first place, glass number 4. And yeah, this is pretty solid right off of that first tasting. Definitely, the first and the last place were definites. Like this, the first place was definitely my first place right away. The last place was definitely my last place. There was a second there that I thought maybe I would switch the third and second place, but this on glass number 1 here, it does kind of have that little sweet tart note to it, but there's also there's something that's a bit sour in a way. It's not bad. Like I don't not enjoy any of these whiskeys, and I would be fine having a pour of any of them. But this one just had something that was a little darker and a little more rich on it. And so let's get into the results here, folks. In last place in the 100 proof bourbon banger battle, it's the Rebel. Okay, well, the cheap whiskey doesn't always come in last place, but in this case it did. I will say this one came across as, a little greenier, a little bit youthier, but I don't know, not bad. I mean, for what you pay for it, sure. So, all right, third place is the Benchmark. All right, so it is down to the Old Forester 100 and the Old Fitz in second and first place. So let's just go with the first place winner. I have a feeling I know what it is because I think it's just a superior bourbon, so I would be shocked if it wasn't. That is the Old Forester coming in first place, which that tracks for me because I think this is a better bourbon than this all day long. So yeah, the Old Fitz coming in second. So, well, it beat 2 budget bottles. It didn't beat this one. In all fairness, I don't think there's a lot of bourbons that can beat this one at the price. But these aren't the same price. So anyway, yeah, that's kind of interesting. It's interesting how much of a fight the Benchmark put up with the Old Fitz. But in the end, the Old Fitz was just more well-rounded out than the Benchmark. Again, that sweet tart note was kind of nice, but it kind of bordered on a little bit sour. And the Old Fitz just had something a little bit more rich. But I will tell you this, folks, considering the price, the availability, and again, the availability, you can't really blame the whiskey for that, I would say that, yeah, I'm not terribly shocked that Old Forester 100 beat the Old Fitz, but, I wouldn't have been terribly surprised if it got beat by any of these other ones because I think it is pretty basic, and this really didn't change my mind on that. It didn't stand out too much. I think the only real standouts here were the Rebel and the Old Forester because they were clearly the first and the last right off the bat. So I'm looking forward to putting this in more blinds. I think putting this in blinds for me with an Old Forester product is maybe a little unfair because Old Forester is just my jam. I love it. And so I feel like you know, even a budget-friendly Old Forester, in this case, beat the Old Fitz. That could be just because Old Forester is just a particular flavor profile that suits me. Now, I would say I think it's the better quality whiskey, and I'm sure a lot of people are going to disagree with me on that. But, you know, it kind of puts into perspective when you do these blinds. You know, price isn't everything. Hype obviously isn't everything. Everybody knows that. So, yeah, I would say I'm not terribly shocked. So let me know what you think of these results. If you think I'm an idiot, you know, if you think I'm nuts for picking the Old Forester over the Old Fitz. But for me, that perfectly tracks. Folks, if you watch this channel with any regularity, you'll know when there's more than one whiskey in the bar, we got to do the blend. So let's get into it. I'm going to blend these all together. And, you know, it is a Saturday evening. So hopefully this is a good blend, because then I'll go sit out in the garage and enjoy this pour. On the nose, it's not bad. Oh, one other thing about this blind. The Old Forester stood out on its own, but the benchmark bonded did not stand out as the non-weeder amongst the three that didn't come in first place here. So that was kind of interesting. I would have, I don't know, I was having a hard time telling which one was the weeder between the two that were battling it out for second place. On the nose, the blend is pretty nice. Sweet. Some of the wheat comes through. I don't know, let's get into it. That's all right, but honestly, that's not as good as Old Forester 100. Old Forester 100 is just so damn good. Maybe this is just a video hyping Old Forester 100. So anyway, not bad, not great. I'll enjoy drinking this in the garage later on. But anyway, folks, again, let me know what you think of these results. If you've got these 4 bottles, do the flight. I want somebody else to do the Old Forester 100 versus the Old Fitz for sure in some sort of capacity. So anyway, this has been a bourbon blind battle on the Bourbon Note. I'm Ben. Please like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already. We'll see you in the next one.